I hope this works. If not, womp womp. Um, Output device is going to be this. Activate that. Should be able to do some stuff with it. This is real nice. Photo. And I can't do anything. I'm gonna turn my mic off. Volume up. Yeah. Volatile 1 does not have any volume. I can hear that though. That's real nice. Doesn't have any volume when it comes to that. So that's pretty good. And then I can just use different stuff like this. Alright. So we're gonna be talking about the Cold War. Alright. So I'm gonna be showcasing a map that I think will accurately depict the Cold War. Tech, I'm not gonna have you up here. Was that war cold? I mean, right now was. Right? Oh, I'm talking about the second Cold War that we're in right now. History. I ain't gonna get too deep into politics. So this is just purely going to be based off of what I think would happen. Obviously, with like economic decline, we can mention that. I do think the collapse of the U.S. economy is inevitable. So, um, we're gonna mention that in here. But I do think the U.S. could recover in the future since, um, we are a Western country and we could partner up with the EU. Also, did you see episode 96? I did see episode 96. It was pretty cool. There's a Russia map. I like that. So map just Russia. So I'm gonna give Ukraine to Russia in this because this is not accurate with that. But overall, I'm gonna add layers, influence layers, and all that mess. Uh, Maybe. So this is gonna be just a straight up map of the Cold War and what could possibly come out of the Cold War. And this is going to have maybe land claims in it too, but other than that, it's just going to be an influence map mainly with all the current powers. Which I do realize, since the EU is a part of the Cold War, it's really weird having a non-country be a key player, if not one of the most key players towards the outlook of the future. With it not being a government body, but having very much similarities to acting like a country in some aspects, and then acting like an organization in some, which I think is great for Europe. Um, I did think the episode of Wixa was pretty nice. Alright, so, oh, no? Why did, alright, so my stuff is messed up. Hold up, give me a minute. Alright, but yeah, I did like the new episode of Wixa. It was quite unique. I did not like the new continents that much, but I understand why they're added. Alright, so, I'm pretty sure the EU is something. I'm just gonna call it like this, something like this, with Ireland being in here. I don't know if Luxembourg is officially in, or not. I'm just going to go quickly off of what I know. Portugal, boom, boom, boom. Just add a few countries like so. Yo, what's up? But yeah, the Cold War's extreme. I do think the Cold War could be a pivotal moment for the US. Either cause destruction or um a rise again. Which honestly, with the current look on it, I don't think this Cold War is going to end as fast as the first Cold War. So we could see a really bad turn for the US, and then a later on recovery from the US. Alright. So I did add a water layer so I can mess with this a lot more without totally screwing up everything. Alright, Hungary might be a part of it. I don't know. I don't think Albania is. Norway, Sweden, they're partners, close partners. But yeah, if I do need to add anything to this map, let me know. And then we got China, the US, and Russia. So right now, currently, I think the powers that are doing the worst in the Cold War is Russia and the US. The US more is siding with countries and disagreeing with the EU and China. Russia's been AFK, dealing with their own mess, so they haven't been really. You didn't thank me for 500 subs. Why would I? Oh, well. Alright. So, Russia's been AFK with their mess. They've been dealing with Ukraine for way too long. I do wish for peace between Russia and Ukraine. No matter what, I want peace for the world. But one concerning factor is Russia and Ukraine, and it's a major concern of mine towards towards the future. But I do think the current, like, outlook on this war is that Russia's winning. Um, I think they'll win over time. Maybe not, depending on what happens with the rebels and all that, but Ukraine did bomb Moscow. And, well, looking at the distance, I think that would be pretty difficult unless Russia was not even that powerful. Which, honestly, they've been in this war for forever. So, I do see where slip-ups can be made. 2021. And then 2014 was this incident. Yay. We don't like that one. But overall, the EU does have major allies at this time, like Canada. Actually, I'm gonna make them a different shade. The US is lacking diplomatically right now, but they are being cut off a lot, and I do think it's because of China. The EU relying on China more than the US, and they've made several partnerships with them. And then also the EU's been trying to be more self-sustainable, so we've had less trading partners with the EU. Trading partnerships, my bad. Which is totally normal. I do think it's a good thing that the EU is working on sustainability. For the US, it's not. For the US, that sucks. For the EU, perfect. Yes, sustainability is necessary for Europe. Definitely because of Russia over here and the cutoffs that happened. So, good job, EU, for becoming more self-sustainable. Alright. But, you know, the US can always strike back, like so. Now, I do think the threat of China is quite scary. But also, India, with their rivalry with China, has been quite interesting with them trying to rival China's industry, which they could do with their population. And I think those two can compete quite well towards the near future. And I would consider India a Western ally and China to be like anti-Western. So really the divide isn't big, but I do think there will be a larger divide in the future between Western nations and all that. Because right now, it's a five-way Cold War. Nobody's siding with anyone. You only have similar interests. That's the only way you're siding with anyone. And the EU and the US have similar interests when it comes to many things. But also, China has similar interests with the EU, and then China and Russia over Vladivostok right here are constantly arguing about this area right over here. I forgot you color Greenland blue. Hey, guess what? What? Hold up, I got a sound for this. Where is it? Jesus died for us on the cross. He had the most painful death on that cross. Yeah, he died for y'all on the cross. Whatever. this is kind of a important situation that does not require religious input. Um, how did I change much? Yeah, people still reject the perfect man. If you want to argue about religion, we can. I reject Jesus. Um, meh. I just don't want religion on my channel because religion's quite controversial. I really didn't change much in content, and I gotta turn that light off. Hold up, I'll fix that real quick. Wait, wrong thing. There we go. Um, but I will change my content style. And like videos like this, I do want to cover future geopolitical tensions, like the Thailand Cambodia conflict, which is generally idiotic in my opinion. Thailand's a regional power, well, being rising up the ranks and becoming a regional power, and the U.S. Kind of supports them. And then, meanwhile, other powers are just asking for peace in the region, like China and the EU. I don't know India's stance, but I'm thinking it's peace. But Thailand and Cambodia, I just want peace in this region. There's already been a lot of bloodshed in um Southeast Asia. Since when did I become emo? How am I emo? Since when did I become emo? I never became emo. My hair ain't even black, it's brown. Yeah. The hair? Is it solely just because the hair? Well, also, you haven't seen my hair much. Let's be real there. Um, and my hair is defining itself. Um, to be fair, I'm the one who has an English accent now. Yeah, you have an English accent now. It was an update. Don't worry. That happens. But yeah, there's been a lot of problems with anti-Western countries like China, um, rivaling the U.S. and the EU. And I feel like the EU's accepted China's a rising power and has lots of influence over the world, and they're beneficial to trade. Which they are beneficial to trade. We're getting all of our resources from all of our like cheap goods from one country, which that also sucks because we're also not relying on ourselves as much as we used to. Um, Showing how our cheap labor is decreased due to removing the migrant workers program. Um, so yeah, we will have to. One of our problems is we never talk about enough is the national debt. Yeah, I do agree. The national debt is high, with the GDP debt ratio being around like 100 and something percent, maybe one over 100%, and that's a dangerous amount. Um, China's GDP debt ratio is around 70%. Um, a debt ratio that high is obviously that high and cannot be fixed by raising GDP or lowering national debt. It has to be a simultaneous effort of budgeting, lowering spending, um, focusing on. Wait, hold up. Alright, just print money. Working on inflation is horrible. So, you look like you haven't slept since Bitcoin was invented. Printing out money is horrible. It's inflation, right? Inflation, meanwhile, is healthy growth for the economy. But if you grow your economy too much, you have stagflation, and that's the problem that we're dealing with right now in the United States. And many other countries are dealing with it also. Um, Slacking in our economy isn't as bad as we want it to be. So we paint the picture as like we have the largest economy. Our GDP debt ratio is high as all get out. We have the largest and best economy. GDP debt ratio is insane. I don't think the US is the greatest nation. I think it's one of the greatest amongst many other great nations. Um, we lead the world in military, which that's pretty nice. But what is that going to do for stability? Like, who cares about your population when you could be a far right militaristic dictatorship? I mean, nobody really cares about their population when they're not a far right militaristic dictatorship. So don't know. But in all reality, the U.S. is going through some very harsh economic struggles. I think ever since Reagan took office and left office, we were doomed to fail in our economic sector. Reagan, debatable. Um, I personally don't like Reagan. Um, but as things progress, I'm sure the U.S. will likely recover, and in that recovery, we'll lower our stance on the global stage and allow the EU and India to spread Western ideas to other countries competing with China and Russia's spheres of influence. Now, competition. Africa's a big competition right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and map out proxy points. Proxy points. Right here. Alright. So proxy points, in my opinion, are common ones like I'm gonna make this black. It's gonna be a black circle. Nigeria, Thailand, and Cambodia. Alright. Those are more recent ones. Ukraine's also one. Very important. This area. Very big. Syria. Um, Afghanistan's becoming one again. With the airport situation. Venezuela. Do you exist? I mean, I don't know. I could be just another NPC on a um kid's computer, just watching us. We never really have lives. It's just sentient AI that control and dictate who we truly are. And all of our thoughts are just manipulated under a system of regulations towards our AI capacity. Like, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna stop talking about that. Alright. Um, life is all about becoming a dictator. You know what? I'm not gonna agree to that, but I'm also not going to disagree with that. Like, there's disagreements, right? With that. I don't think anyone should be a dictator. But yeah. Life is about people becoming dictators. Um, proxy wars are fought over it and all that stuff. No, we are just a game of Roblox. So yes, in my opinion, life is really about dictators and all that mess. In some aspects of life. Another proxy point would probably be Sudan. I own a Discord dictatorship. Hmm. Pakistan. Here, I'm just gonna put Kashmir. Because I'm just gonna do a big circle. Just all over Kashmir in 3 countries. Because China does have claims over Kashmir. And I'm trying to make it so it includes all of the countries. Not directly in Kashmir. Andorra. Dictator of Andorra. That's pretty cool. These proxy points are pretty well seen. Yemen's also a pretty big one. Western Sahara. Transnistria is also one, but I'm not gonna include it on this map. Madagascar could possibly be one. I'm sure there's a lot of foreign influence there. Somaliland. Proxy wars, low-key kinda proxy wars. Oh, um, Israel recognized Somaliland as a country. I heard about that. I think it's true. I'm not sure with my sources, but you can fact check that and let me know. But I'm pretty sure they did. Which honestly, I support that. Um, I believe if a referendum is passed, any country should get independent. That is true. All right, I'm saying that off of uh Discord information I've got off of that. Um, rare actual Israel W. I mean, they do have some W's, but I think Israel taking the initiative to recognize them is a big step in the right direction. Israel has so much global influence too, so I'm sure Somaliland will get independence off of that and be recognized globally. Wasn't it you a few months ago saying Israel is a victim? No? Live War Reveal, Episode episode 3, Somaliland and Somalia. Oh, you're not talking to me. Alright. Hmm. South America's gonna be a big one, I feel like. Nicaragua. Maybe Cuba. It doesn't seem like Cuba's doing much, and they really shouldn't. They should generally just try to focus on opening up trade and surviving the U.S. in the Caribbean. Which, but I don't really want the current Cuban government to survive since they're kind of a dictatorship. Um, the Cold War was kind of tough and cold. Um, I don't think the Cold War right now is as tough and all that as the previous one. There's a lot of death on this Cold War, but I do think a lot of death occurred in the previous Cold War, mainly because it was two powers competing for influence. I do think the world is more peaceful, and even China is more peaceful, and they're one of the countries I hate the most. That's a part of um the Cold War as a major power. And then over here in Vladivostok, this is another major point. Boom. Then I also think Japan's a major interest point, but I don't know. Indonesia is definitely going to be one, so I'm gonna put one there. Um, hmm. Myanmar. Um, um, oof, this is gonna be, this whole region's just Cold War influence. And then this area, major conflict. Here, I'll do major conflict. This color. Or yellow. I'll make them yellow. I'll do countries that are a part of um major major key parts of the Cold War there. Conflict there. Conflict here. I wouldn't call Madagascar conflict. I would call Venezuela conflict. That is active conflict. Cuba, no. Ukraine, yes. I'm not stupid. Over here with Russia and Georgia, yes. Um, hmm, Sudan and South Sudan, yes. Another major point that I think is possible is something to do with a union over here, or economic partnerships or something. The Sahel is becoming more and more, I would say, problematic when it comes to influence. Like, I know there's going to be a lot of conflict within them. But boom, boom, and boom. I could put this up over here and just put this over here. Western Sahara's a mess. I know Algeria has a big part in Western Sahara, so I put that there. Cyan, what's up, bro? Ethiopia Ethiopia is always yeah, Ethiopia is always a key standpoint. I do think here would be another key area with deepening relations between the East African community. Um, Angola probably because their crisis. Maybe not. I don't know. Hmm. Honestly, depends on the near future with Angola, because I don't know if there's many influence when it comes to that. I know the U.S. influence because they're the second largest um petroleum producer in sub-Saharan Africa, producer to the U.S. in sub-Saharan Africa. Um, hmm. I do think the UK is going to become a major area in the Cold War because you got Scotland wanting to join the EU, which is quite valid. I don't even know why they left. Like, holy. I want to hear a valid standpoint off of someone who's pro EU in the UK, and a valid standpoint off of someone who lives in the UK and is anti EU. Because that would be quite interesting. Um, hmm. As of recently, not much has been happening. There's border disputes between Egypt and Sudan. I do know that. Um, Moldova with Transnistria. Um, hmm. I do need to make a smaller circle for this. It's a small area in Moldova. Alright, now we can map out influence with like close knit countries. I think Belarus is already the perfect color for Russian influence, so I'm gonna just color them any countries under heavy Russian influence that color. Um here's I'm not gonna do influence actually. I'm gonna also remove Canada's influence map because you know China and Russia compete over influence in Nicaragua, Cuba, and Venezuela. So that's controversial. Not controversial, but contradictory. Why would I put China over Russia? You know. But overall, if y'all do want to add anything to this map, let me know. This is a real nice map. And mapping out these key points is quite important. Um, to me and towards the future of this world. I do want to stay up to date with many different things. Um, so yeah, Finland and Russia haven't been doing anything lately. There's been a lot of conflict between drones from Russia in NATO countries. Um, hmm. Which that was attack on NATO countries' sovereignty, 100%. Attacks on sovereignty are not quite valid, in my opinion. But yeah. Um. Hmm. Not really much is happening right at this moment, in my opinion. I mean, you got a lot of events that have been happening. Not much new recent ones. Um, Thailand and Cambodia going to war. That's a new one. Um, India and Pakistan ended their short little conflict. Vladivostok claims are becoming more legitimate. Nigeria is a big one, which South Nigeria is the biggest point of this problem. So I would say just southern Nigeria is a point of conflict, which makes sense. Um, Nigeria's has a lot of terrorists in it, and I'm not gonna condone the actions that were recently taken against Nigeria and people in terrorist organizations such as ISIS and foreign people in terrorist organizations inside of Nigeria. How is it going on? It's going good. Um, God, my birthday is tomorrow. Yep, that Unk claim is going to be legitimate tomorrow. Alright, yeah, it's going good. Not good. Not good. God, I'm old. Yes, happy the 16th birthday. You've been keeping up to date with me. That's nice. I might do a birthday stream, but I don't know. This is just like, oh my god. I'm getting my license soon and everything. I'm gonna have to get a job. I've been talking about getting a job. Bro, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Hey. Some nights, legitimately, I freak out. Like, what am I going to do? Which I hope YouTube becomes successful, but if it don't, I don't really care. Um, it's just YouTube. Don't forget to build a family. Be president. You know? I've actually considered that. And, I'm most likely, if I go into politics, I'm going to try to achieve European Union Parliament member status. Um, yeah, not being president. So tough. But no, president is not for me. Which honestly, it makes sense to flee the U.S. A lot of people have been fleeing the U.S. And I do think just involvement in politics is bad, and declining stance on economics is prominent. I would never want to be president. I'd rather be like a governor or something like that. I hope you be like something in the future. You really seem like a good guy. Yeah. Um I don't want to be nothing important in the future. If I do anything important in the future, it's going to be political activism against the rise of the far right in countries like Japan and maybe in Germany. Uh, the AFD I do have problems with, but progressive right wing and you know I do think they should be more cautious, less far right. But from the current stance, I know a lot of people hate the um current representation of the AFD party, and even in the current AFD party, a lot of people are mad with that representation of them as not a far right regime, but like a pro LGBT group, or just like a hey, we don't care, you're LGBT, who cares standpoint, and a lot of people do care. Um, Me personally, I don't believe it should be in politics. It shouldn't be debated about some people's rights, in my personal opinion. But do you support the LGBTQ plus community? Yes, I do. And I believe they have no place in politics to be debated about someone's rights being valid. People's rights are valid. Like, people's rights are valid. Simple. Leave it at that. It doesn't deserve to be debated. It's not an issue. It's normalized. There's 3,000 species who have LGBTQ plus tendency. Um, what's interesting about it is people are saying a lot of these things are new, but if you look at you grew up with the, you grew up atheist, brother, or religious? So, um, until I told my parents I'm atheist, I don't think they mentioned religion much around me. So, um, I would, meh. I'm atheist, didn't grow up with religion, didn't grow up with anyone pushing atheism on me. So, I guess atheist, but didn't, I'm not growing up that way. Um, I want to be governor of Alabama because you probably know why. Huh, that's weird. But yeah, I'm extremely pro human rights. Um, right to vote, right to bodily autonomy is a big one um, for that group of people and women. Um, yeah, my opinion, government should stay out of it. Don't care. Government, stay out. Which honestly, that ain't much to ask for. It's basic stuff like bodily autonomy. Like I get it. You don't want to be doing some stuff, and then you also got to regulate kids. That makes sense. But like right for bodily autonomy for for adults being removed for adults. When's that valid? You should be the President of the United States of America. I do not see myself to ever be deserving of that position, nor does that position deserve me. I do know a lot about politics, but I don't think I should be the US president. I do want to hold a political position of power in the future. Maybe. But I mainly want to be a political activist in the future rather than a political figure. Because nothing's wrong with political activism. No matter what side you're advocating for, in my opinion. Like, you could be a communist advocating for communism, you could be a fascist advocating for fascism. Don't care. Freedom of speech, libertarian nation. Just know you wouldn't have those rights to protest if you weren't under a very libertarian nation with freedom. Just like the US and many European countries, several African nations, not many. Bro, when I saw you before, you weren't like this. Like what? I see your eyes, bro. Bro, I'm not emo. Stop assuming that, bro. I ain't gone down like a dark path. I just started growing my hair out. It's funny as I'll get at that y'all are assuming it, but I'm literally just growing my hair out. Believe it or not, I got my hair cut a few days ago. Bro, your profile picture was better before. Meh, I do know that. It was a real good profile picture, I will say that. It looks more like the Illuminati. Yo, I should record an Illuminati video. Just the conspiracy theories and all that mess. God. Where am I from? I am from a place. A very well place. This place, a lot of my friends are from, actually. Um, a lot of famous people are from this place and live in this place. Um, he grows up. He's planning something. Um, when I grow up, I will plan something. You remember me, bro? I was the Pakistani. Yeah, I remember you. I'm from the U.S. and we're talking about my hairstyle right now. When we were talking about the current Cold War. Actor? No, I'm not being a Starbucks worker. No, I'm not gonna work at Starbucks. Bro, that's not gonna be my career. Like, uh, I ain't. If I was an actor, my most popular line would be, "Is that all, sir?" Or "Is that all, ma'am?" Like, what's my favorite ideology? Probably, democratic socialism or neo-corporatism. Um, yeah, good question. Um, it is a good question. Uh, I'm not a hardliner democratic socialist when I have my democratic socialist views. I'm not hardline pro. Um, I do have some corporatist views where I do feel parties and class should collide. and some parties should prioritize um wait, I don't even know where I'm going anymore. I do believe class systems should be represented more in the government and um argue with each other and debate about the class wars. Is it a problem if I'm 30 years old little boy? People called me grown men. Um I don't think it's a problem if you're a 30-year-old man. I mean, personally, I've nothing against 30-year-old men. Um yeah, that's all right. If you're 30, no judgment. Have you ever tried the like Rise of Nations on Roblox? Yes, I've tried it. It's pretty cool. It looks like a lot of effort was put into the making of the game, and I do like that. Anyways, um, if y'all do want to ask me politically focused questions, not like questions if I like Trump or not, because we can't do that on here. Thank you, sweetie. I gotta go. Alright, bye. Alright, I might end the stream. I want to do more streams where it's just me talking to people. I feel like that's what live chat's for, and I don't properly represent it. But I ain't got nothing interested to talk about. So I guess I could do. So it's 3 a.m. right now. I ain't got nothing interested to talk about when it comes to some things. Like I can't just pick a aspect of my life and just talk about it for my entire channel. I'm sure I will be able to eventually. Um, I could do teenage job market and help adults understand what teenagers are going through within the current U.S. job market, which sucks. But I gotta get on the job search with that, which I'm going to soon. Um, the hunt. So like, I am gonna ask you, Empire or Con, Kana, so you know about them or nah. Sure. Harley, what's up? Um, I really don't know what I want to do. Kazakh. No, I don't know them. Honestly, I'm just tired right now. I didn't go to bed till like 12, which that ain't bad, taking into consideration I went to bed at like 6 6 or 7 a.m. The other day. What's the time there? Changed name, yeah. The time for me right now is 10 10:01 p.m. That's what my monitor says for my time. So that's what I'm gonna give you. Yeah. This is the time. My favorite ruler from history. Yeah. All right. So that's a tough question. So me personally, I'd probably go with like I um. So I would say Kaiser Wilhelm II would be a good pick because of his plans for after World War One to rebuild parts of Europe. Kaiser Wilhelm II would be a good choice for his plans to rebuild Europe. Um, I don't know about him. He led the German Empire in World War One. I don't think Germany was that bad in World War One compared to World War Two, and I honestly think there was bad guys and good guys mixed on both sides of the war. So, you know, peace treaty wise, I would prefer if Germany won World War One. Um, just for like Middle Europa and their plans to rebuild Europe after the war would be way more economically successful than the Treaty of Versailles, guaranteed. Then the Austrian painter from Austria, you know? Austria causes all of Germany's problems, you know? It ain't Germany's fault, it's Austria. It's Austria, bro. Just a little laugh. Um, I'm just picking at the situation. I don't mean it's not Germany's fault for World War II. Germany definitely is at fault because of letting Hitler manipulate their population through books that were read in schools like Mein Kampf. Germany blamed Austria. Yo, for real though, Austria does have some wrongdoings. Because, you know, World War One was because they couldn't make a deal with Serbia that was fair. Um, yeah, they pushed Serbia to declare war on them. So, me personally, I do think the killing that the Serbian terrorists did was bad to, I can't think, hold up. Give me a minute. Ah, God, why can't I think of that? Hold up. Hold up. This is weird. Alright. This is... No. This is not normal, guys. Archduke Ferdinand. Oh. Schadenserviego. Alright. I cannot. I'm losing my mind over here. God. This is how you know I'm falling off. So yeah. Austria's plan for Serbia was to turn them into an Austrian client state, which is extremely unfair. For the act of a terrorist. So, Montenegro and Serbia, Austrian client states. Yeah, not fair at all to Serbia. Then Austria declared war on them over this. It's Austria's fault towards the end of it. Archduke Ferdinand should have never been killed. Alright. That's wrong. Wasn't that bad of a guy. Would have been a bad guy. Because monarch. But yeah. And then also, you got... Actually, meh. I don't know. I would say Archduke Ferdinand probably wouldn't have been that bad, in my opinion. I think he did have plans to federalize Austria-Hungary. So mine would be Hazrat Khan bin Walden, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm too white for this. I like sleep. I don't like sleep. I don't get much of it. Yay. I do need to sleep a little bit more. And I can. I slept decently last night. I voluntary have been choosing not to sleep. So it's my fault. But yeah. Kaiser Wilhelm II. Middle Europa. I really like Middle Europa. It's a good plan in my opinion. I think the EU based some of their forms of government based off of Middle Europa. Also, I don't know what to call you in Golan or I have history. I have history, preferably. A history or I. If you just want to call me something short, you know. But yeah. I'm gonna go. So goodbye. Goodbye, CMC. Why did you change the name? I changed it, for, hmm, for like content purposes. I'm going to do more historical content and stuff like that. But goodbye, y'all. This was a good stream. Thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all so much. and no hat or glasses. It's weird. I got contacts and no hat is just because of my hair. So it's a bit sad to see that name change, but I'm sure y'all can deal with it. What time's up? I gotta go. So I'll see y'all later.